So yeah, let's jump into it. So, like I said, I think in terms of some of the fundamental things, like things like CSing stuff like that, I think right now you're doing pretty well.
All right.
And what was your
I
peak
didn't. I
again?
didn't do.
Was it
I didn't
plat?
see us that well this game, but
I
fine.
mean, it was. What was your peak rank again? Plat two, one?
Uh, plat 3.
Oh, was it? Okay,
Oh,
okay.
plat 2 and flex.
Yeah. Oh, in flex. Okay, I just remember seeing you as plat two. Um, so I mean, in terms of kind of like CS and stuff right now, that's fine for a platinum level. But it's more so about
Yeah.
the kind of other things, especially to do with kind of how you see pressure. Now, I think pressure is probably one of the biggest things for you to focus on, especially when you're playing champions like Lucian. And I feel like this is kind of one of them things that is potentially holding you back right now, because Lucian is an early game carry, right? Like it's kind of like, and when I say early game, it doesn't mean that you have to win within 10 minutes, but it does mean that, say, your two item spike is much more powerful than your spikes later on, right? So, for example, when you pick up that Gale Force and Essence Reaver, that you have such a huge power spike at that point, it's super, super valuable. Now, obviously, when kind of champions start getting a bit more tanky, it becomes very hard for you to do much. And then it kind of becomes a case of you have to build up this huge lead early and then try not to throw it away, which I feel like we kind of did a little bit in
Yeah.
this game. So another thing that we are going to focus on with this VOD is also the way that you're pressuring around minions. There was one specific point where we discussed what to do and then you did it that we will talk about in a little bit more detail and why we did it. I think while you were playing, it was just a bit kind of, you just kind of did it because I said you did, right? Like, so I do want to look over that a little bit more. And so this early laning phase, so this level 2 engage was very, very nice. And you managed to get the flash from the Zyra. So another thing though, when you are going for these, I try and kind of edge a little bit closer towards them so that you remove some of this minion aggro, right? So right here, see, this was a really good trade, but what you could have done is moved a little bit further down as well, and then just reset in this brush, and then maybe even sat here to just fend them off a little bit more, right? Because these
All
minions
right.
right here, that there's no chance that they're gonna, instantly drop low, right? So you could have, say, a little bit of time to just kind of zone them away. And then why do you think that's also pretty important to zone them away? So what happens with these minions if you go in this brush?
She won't get level 2.
So yeah, so if you go into this brush, these minions will stop targeting you and they'll instantly target this, which means if you're pushing them away like this, you're gonna deny them this minion. Like in not just gold but XP as well. So what you want to be doing is constantly using your pressure, especially because you've got level 2, to force them entirely away from this kind of area. Because see, we kind of let up the pressure a bit now, and then they kind of walk up and she actually gets some. But I like what you're doing with your Qs here. I think it's really, really good that you're actively using that Q to try and get multiple forms of poke. I think that's a very good thing that you can do on Lucian, is get that kind of initial Q and then get that into the E, you know. So here, so this is the first one of the first big points, right? So in this situation right now, what do you think the primary kind of goal for the Zeri in this laning phase is in this window?
Just a CS. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, no, you are right, you are right. Which CS specifically?
The cannon.
Yeah, exactly. This cannon is super important. Now, what tool do you have in this lane that can help you to and deny away this cannon? Because obviously if you leave the minions to act naturally, these are going to drop low at the same time, and then you're just going to handshake this cannon, which this is something you can never really do on Lucian, because you do have a massive amount of kind of tools to kind of get pressure in the early game and do things. So you don't really want to be ever having cannons be at the same HP dropping, right? You always want to make sure that yours is killed and then you walk in and pressure her, right? So this is something that we try to do throughout this laning phase as much as possible, and it's super, super important. So the Rakan can actually instantly kill the cannon. So what do you think we should have done in that window? So see
Going,
here.
I guess.
Yeah. So it's not just about going on her, it's also about how you kind of position. Now, Zyra is going to throw her E, but what direction does her E go in?
A straight line.
Yeah. So what you do is, as you see these cannons dropping low, what you do is you start walking at it early, and you're just waiting for the Zyra route, right? So then what happens is Rakan will kill this off. You'll E past the Zyra route, and then you've got direct access to just kill her. You just run her down and kill her. And in, obviously, because you've already got this HP advantage, you do that quite easily. So this kind of one of the big things too, Lucian, is that these kind of little windows are incredibly important, because right here, see, you've just killed your cannon off and got the gold for it, and you're stood all the way back here, even though you have a cannon advantage, right? So in this position, you should be here, and she should be all the way back here. So that she can never really get it. Now, with a cannon, obviously, don't worry too much about denying the XP. If you can deny the XP, great. But with the cannons, you're looking to deny the gold primarily, right? Because they give so much. It's really, really valuable. And see, then we went in. But see what happened. We went in after the cannon, and we got an amazing trade and her exhaust, but she'd still got that cannon, so we don't really get that much of an advantage off it. But this was good how you backed away, because she had used exhaust. So now what we're just kind of looking to do is crash this wave in. And, you know, we wait until 700. But this is okay, because the next one is a cannon. But you have to kind of be on it to instantly push this wave. So one of the things to take note in these situations is your HP doesn't really matter, right? Because we're about to get 700 gold and reset, and this is wave 2. So we don't really want to be standing all the way back here, because we can, say if we use this much HP, it's completely fine, because we're going to reset. So use your HP and use your mana as kind of tools to help you get resets off. And this is why mana control is pretty important on Lucian, because right here, see how we kind of left the wave to come up, and now we're only just clearing it. And then just see how we're not using any of our abilities to clear it. It's like we're not going to use this mana at a later point, where we're going to replenish it when we get base anyway. So making sure to crash these waves as quick as possible is super, super important, because A, we're going to get 700 gold off this back, and B, because the next wave is a cannon, which means we need to be here for that wave, right? So see how the cannon's here. Now, ideally, we got this back off. Now, with this as well, don't really worry about walking to this second brush here, because in theory, they can't really walk up, right? Because if they walk up, then they lose the wave, and Zeri's quite low anyway, and you have the potential to kill her. So you have to also see the lane from the enemy's standpoint, right? So right now, if you were playing, I mean, you haven't played Zeri, so it's kind of hard to make this thingy, but if you were playing a squishy ADC that had been taking trades like this, and you were against Lucian, would you ever walk close to this brush with this wave here?
Yes.
Would you? You just walk up into this brush when you have a massive HP deficit.
I don't know.
So right here, she's only got 400 HP, right? So if she walks up there, you can, like, say for example, you're just sat in this brush like here. If she walks up, you could just burst her, like, and just kill her instantly. So she can never really walk up to this brush safely, so she's never going to. So this is a safe place to reset, purely based on that. Now, if she was full HP, then maybe it'd be different. But because she isn't, it's completely fine. So either way, we get reset off. We were a little bit slow on reset. So another thing you want to do, and this is something that will take a little bit of practice as well, is when you get to base, what you want to do is you want to instantly click in bot lane, and then open the shop, and then instantly buy your items as you're walking off the platform, right? Now, like I said, this is going to take a little bit of practice, because it is hard and you have to know exactly what you're buying, but use your recall timer to kind of think of exactly what you want, and then that way you get off the platform. Just because if they would have pushed a little bit harder, you would have been denied the cannon here. Thankfully, we did manage to get it, especially because we do have a Rakan who, he left the base very, very quick, so he was allowed to just grab it, and so we did still get it. But yeah, we just want to make sure that we're shopping as quick as possible. And then here as well, what we also want to do is, so the minion wave is here, right? So what we want to also do is, because they're not here, what we want to walk up. Now Rakan should have done this, but he didn't. So we want to walk up and just stop the wave by here, because then we have this wave, and we can stack it really, really big in this area and then get a huge slow push. Now, when it comes to slow pushes are kind of your power play. They're the kind of they're the things inside the laning phase that you can have as much pressure around, because what will happen a lot in these elos is people won't respect a slow push, or they won't even know how much damage the minions do. Now, the problem is here, see, is these melees actually walk into the tower and get instantly killed, which means now this wave is going to push in way faster, because these are like the little tanks. The way you kind of want to see it is these minions are there to do damage, and these minions are there to take damage. So it's basically, these are the tanks, these are the ADCs. If you want the wave to push slower, the tanks need to stay alive. If you want the wave to push faster, faster, then we need to kill them off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because they're going to delay it for so long.
Kill off the ADCs first.
Well, if you killed these off first, what do you think would happen with the wave?
It would push faster because it'd be more healthier the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, exactly. So it'll always push faster no matter which ones you kill, because there'll be a minion deficit. But if, say, for example, you want to get a really, really big slow push, sometimes you can kill them off. In these situations, you don't really need to, because the wave will be even. But yeah, if you kill these off, like say for example late game, what you can actually do is, say for example you want to rotate to a Baron. It's a little bit more advanced. So say you want to rotate up to a Baron right here, and there's a wave there. What you can actually do is you can kill off just the caster minions, and what that's going to mean is this wave here is going to stay very, very healthy. Now, say for example if they have an assassin mid, like let's say Fizz, okay? Fizz isn't going to be able to come into this side wave and kind of deal with a really, really big wave very easily, right? If it was something like Syndra, it wouldn't really matter, but this is something that you can do as well to set up slow pushes. But yeah, overall, if we kill these off, our wave becomes healthier. But yeah, like the cannon, the melees are the ones that really keep the wave where it is. So they're kind of like the stability. And also the melees are always where the wave will stop, because they're, well, melee range. So the next melees will come up and always stay there. So here, like I said, farming in the tower was nice. So that was good. Again, so why do you think it's also like a really good spike to have double longsword? I'm not sure if we've covered this before.
No, I don't know. So
Okay, so double longsword actually gives you enough AD that you only need one tower shot in order to last at the casters.
oh yeah, I know this. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
know
it means that it's very, very handy. So right now, again, we're stacking up a wave. And again, this was, we walked into it a little bit, but it didn't really matter that much. It was okay. Warwick, this was a terrible gank from him, to be honest. Shame Rakan didn't get that, but overall, that's fine. So right, so here again, so this is the point now where you should be thinking, okay, I'm in a powerful position. There's a cannon here. I want to abuse this. Especially, I don't know what items were, but I'm pretty sure you had more gold on reset, right? Actually, she was going Trinity
no,
full, so it wouldn't
she
even
was the
matter.
same.
Yeah, she was going Trinity full, um, so yeah, so this is where we actually said hit the cannon bit, right? So the reason again we said to hit this cannon down is because then this is now an engage opportunity,
Priority.
right? Yeah. So right now she's like, oh, I need this cannon, like I need it really bad, because you've already farmed yours. So if she doesn't get it, you have a gold advantage anyway. So if, say for example, you were an ADC that can't trade in this situation, you just have to accept that you got your cannon and leave it there. But considering you're an ADC in the kind of power position here, you wanna go in, and it did go to plan. Obviously, we didn't manage to kill her, but it was still a really good trade, right? And now we're in complete control of the lane again, because she's got no HP. So yeah, so here, so this
Just one thing.
Yeah.
Like I find it really hard to go against Zyra as Lucian because like I find it really difficult to dodge a stun. So
Okay.
it's like
Her root on her E.
yeah,
Okay, so that just comes down to experience and practice. because
Okay.
it's somewhat easy for you to dodge it because it's a straight line, right? So one thing that you want to
Yeah.
do is when you are in them situations, you want to keep your eyes on her. So this is where your eyes should be constantly, and then you want to get a good feel for when the minions are dropping low, right? So look back at the minions when these throw their attack and go, okay, well this has just got hit by that much, and then keep your eye on her, and then you go, okay, another attack. Okay, it's this much. Okay, great. Wait for them to fire their attack again, and then auto it, and they've already fired their attack, right? So,
So
yeah,
so do I just want to walk up, wait for the E, and then try and dodge it with my E?
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you want to do. Like, because if you manage to dodge that, what's she gonna do? Like, she has nothing else that she can do against you, especially pre six. After six, it's a little bit more difficult, but pre six, there's nothing that she can actually do, to stop you there. You know.
Yeah.
And then here, so this is another one of them situations, right? So we've just forced the Warwick to reset. And what do you notice about the minimap right now? What information are you being told by the minimap at the moment?
Top lane's missing
Yeah.
and
Uh,
Warwick's missing.
yeah. But where is your jungler?
Oh, she's like on the other side of the map. Right.
Yeah. So your jungler is up here, and the dragon is here. So right now we're like, okay, well the dragon is one priority that Warwick might go for. What do you think is another one? Well, what's another priority that you think he might go for sometime soon?
Scuttle
Uh, I, I mean maybe,
or gank.
but what about his red buff
Oh, it's
that
nearly
it's
up.
respawned into? So that's coming up in within 1 minute as well. So right now it's like Warwick is going to be in this bottom side, and we have a fair amount of gold as well. Obviously, we don't have enough for a pickaxe, which is a little bit of a shame. But getting a reset off in this situation is still pretty good. And we have a recall timer, right? Because are we in theory going to be able to get one of these plates?
No.
Yeah, no, never. No, not into a Zyra anyway. Especially considering she can clear the wave quite quick. So as soon as you get this big wave pushed in, you just need to go, okay, this is a recall timer. Okay, it isn't the best recall timer for me, but I still have 800 gold, so it's still a little something. So just instantly just start resetting there, and because you're not going to get any plates anyway.
Okay.
Because then you see what happens is the Warwick does come bot, and now we're forced to stay for even longer. And now they get the tempo reset, see? So now they're resetting it. Actually, I think they went for Dragon. No, I don't think they did at this point. Or did they?
No.
I don't think so, right? No. But the Zeri is reset now. And what else do you notice about this wave now?
Uh, it's not crashed, so
Yeah, and it's a cannon wave. So this wave, when we have an advantage, we want to be playing around being on the cannon waves in order to push them in, right? So right here, it's like this is a normal wave, but this wave would have already been here. And then what would have happened if we would have reset on that timer is we would have been walking out of base right now with this cannon wave, right? So
yeah.
as we already discussed, we then have this kind of situation where we can, again, make sure that our cannon has been claimed early and then force her into a fight that she doesn't want to go for, denying her the cannon if she trades back with us. So it's kind of like,
So
yeah.
so do pro players keep an eye on their cannons?
Yes, at all times. It's not even just pro players. So when
So is it
I'm,
something that you just get used to? It's like
yeah.
you just
So
know when.
what I do when I'm playing in lane is I constantly in my head I just keep a count of what number wave it is. So you have wave one, wave two, wave three. Do you know which one of these three the cannon is on?
3.
Yeah, it's always on three. So you have, and then what about 15 minutes? What wave is it on at 15 minutes?
I don't know. I think it's 2.
Yeah, it's on two. And then what about 25 minutes?
Every wave, is it?
Yeah, every single wave. Yeah.
25, 50. Okay.
So yeah, so
That's
this
kind
is
of
kind of
hard to remember.
a little bit. It does. It's a little bit tricky, but you kind of get used to it after a while, right? Like it's um this three is the important one because it's your lane. It's the majority of the time that you spend. In solo queue, you want to be nailing your laning phase as much as possible. So that first 15 minutes is the most important by far. So 3 is the magic number. But what you want to do is you want to kind of count it, right? So you want to just be like, okay, this wave, okay, this is wave 2. And then the next wave, okay, wave 3, you know it is because it's canon. If you ever forget, what you then do is you start counting from the next cannon wave. So when you see a
Alright.
cannon, you go, okay, it's 3, and now I'm going to count. So say, for example, if you know you want to get a reset off, you'd go, oh no, this cannon wave has just come into my lane, and that's wave 3, so now I have to wait 2 more waves. So you conserve your mana, you'd not really go for trades, you just wait for 1 wave, and then you'd only last hit it. And then when the second wave comes in, you'd hard push both of them, and then you get a reset off when that second wave is there, and you run down with the third wave. You know.
Alright. One more
So
thing before I forget.
yeah, yeah, of course.
Um, you know when you leash the jungler, what's the small leash and what's the big leash? I know the big
Okay.
leash is 139, but
Yeah.
I don't
So
know the.
the big leash is 139. The short leash is 135.
All right, okay.
So 135 is just the short leash. That's if you want to kind of get into the lane, if you need to kind of win your lane. Say, for example, if you're against a Caitlyn. Caitlyn can be a matchup that you can win as Lucian if you outplay her mechanically, but she can also do a lot of damage to you as well, especially because she has a lot of wave clear too. So it can be a kind of a bit of a flip lane. So in those situations, you want to get that you want to get as onto the wave as quick as possible, really.
All right.
So here it's like, to be honest, we can't really move in this situation anyway because of the cannon, but now we see the cannon, we can push it in. So unfortunately, like, so this is kind of like the second best optimal solution, is that you push the cannon in and then you reset on the cannon. Obviously the first most optimal would always be to reset and then come with the cannon, because then you've spent all your gold and you have as much power as possible to fight her when she comes up to the cannon. Do you know what I mean? Does that
Yeah.
make sense? So
Actually, say that again. Sorry.
so it's okay. Don't worry. I mean, this is why I record these anyway. It can be a lot. Don't worry. I get it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the second wave is usually the one that you want to reset on. Because if you
All right.
reset on the second wave, then you come out with the cannon on that third wave,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
and you spent all of your gold, and you can fight her very easily. If you're in the lane with this cannon, right? Now, if you reset on this wave, on the third wave, it's not as good because what's that? Sorry.
Effective.
Yeah, yeah, it's not as good. I mean, you still get the cannon, which is great, but you can't ever pressure her for this one, right? So it's like, well, you're basically saying if you're in the lane in time, you're gonna get this cannon. So it's kind of like you put like a little bow on this and just say, here you go, congratulations, here's a cannon. Which, you know, when you're playing Lucian, you never really want to be in that situation. So now we managed to get that crashed in. Obviously, one thing to do is when the waves are like this, what you want to do is you want to use your wave as a focus point. So right now, it's like, okay, this wave is here, and it's just about to hit my tower, right? So because of that, it means that you can't reset on that, because this is then going to get stuck here. And then what can happen is they can actually grab the wave and pull it like this, get into this brush, and then they get a freeze. So you have to make sure that this is 100% into the tower, and you do that by just having a look where your wave is here, because they're symmetrical. They're, the waves on your side are exactly the same as
Yeah, I
this.
know that. Yeah.
So here, this was just
This was
rough.
just
Yeah, this is just kind of bad. So here, to be honest, this is, you just have to use your pings. Just ping like crazy. This fight is bad anyway because she's reset. We haven't, so we still have 1,300 gold, and she doesn't really. And you know they're griefing for a support, and then they both die, which that did stint our lane very much so, which was a very big shame. Now here, I think the pickaxe is better. It just gives you so much raw AD, and you know you don't really need the extra from Noon Quiver for minion like damage, because it just doesn't really do anything. So here they're engaging when you're not even there, which I guess is fine. So here we could have potentially froze a wave, but the reason why can't we freeze a wave here? Why do you think it's really bad if we were to?
I don't know really.
So ideally, right here, Lily has just killed the Zeri. She just should just go to Dragon. Like,
All right.
so if we freeze, we don't have prio for Dragon, which, you know, is a little bit rough. It means that they can move without getting punished whatsoever. So yeah, this is fine though. So here it's like, again, so right now we don't have anything to reset for. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to walk up and get some vision. Because why not, you know? Especially on the dragon, because Warwick could be there at any point. Ideally, what you want to do with your ward is you do want to get it slightly in there as well. Just because what Warwick could do is he could use the cone to hop over and just do it.
Alright.
And you don't actually see it on that ward, right? So if you don't see the dragon on your ward, and then it's a bit too far out the pit. Right, so I think we've covered a lot in terms of laning phase, especially when it comes to things like cannon. So here's kind of another example of this cannon. See, so right here, we weren't putting enough damage in the wave. So because we weren't really putting enough damage in the wave, we kind of lost control of the cannon. And now we're basically playing catch up, right? So now she's managed to get control, and now she can potentially harass us on the cannon. Because we've got a farm, right? So luckily she doesn't, which is good for us, but... So yeah, so this is probably, honestly, like, you'd be surprised how important these cannons are going to be when it comes to playing Lucian. So this, so another thing you don't want to do as well, you don't really want to rotate to a fight unless your wave's in a good state to. So right here, you've got another wave coming in there, so don't bother rotating, just get these pushed in. And then if they're still fighting after you push the wave in, then you can move. But see right here, we're losing minions in bot side. And then we couldn't actually go in anyway. So here, we get a really nice kind of kill on her. She just greeted massively. This was good. Unfortunately,
Can you see that again? Because I just want to see the damage.
Yeah.
He used the Qs, like what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's very rough here. I mean, the Warwick was going to kill you no matter what here. We probably should just save Flash, but again, it's not too bad. Also, be careful with buying pots. You never really want to have more than 2 pots on you at once. Even if it's a really rough lane. The only time you really want a lot of pots is, say, for example, if you're playing something like Jin into a ridiculously hard lane or something like that, and you can go like boots and pots, then that's okay. Because it gives you more trade patterns and he has such high base damage. But overall on Lucian, your gold is better spent on components and kind of other items. So this is kind of one of the points where you know she's going to die. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you combo properly so that you actually manage to get the kill, right? So here, obviously the W was okay. But ideally what you want to be doing on Lucian is throw an auto first before any ability. So auto W, auto Q. Just because, like, even between your W and your Q there, I'm pretty sure you only got 1 auto out. I think you cancelled the second one. So, it just helps with you getting a few more of the kills. So this, they did manage to get our tower though, which does suck a little bit, but we managed to crash the wave. So right here, what you want to be doing is you want to be going, okay, well, I've just crashed this wave. I still want to get my Essence Reaver though. So now this wave is going to come back. What you want to do is, actually it's not, it is going to come back eventually, right? So since this is going to come back into you now, what you want to do is in these situations, you want to go, okay, I want to freeze here until I get Essence Reaver. Because Essence Reaver is such a huge power spike. So as soon as she pushes this wave and the next wave, right? I mean, we could have actually killed her here, in retrospect, to be honest.
Oh yeah, true actually.
So I overlooked this too, to be fair, because the Zyra is in mid, and it's because I hadn't seen Warwick on this ward, so yeah, just maybe looking down at the minimap a little bit more. Just because we'd seen him, so we're in no real danger here whatsoever, so we could have just burst it out. Zyra actually died in mid. So yeah, so in these situations, you basically just want to push waves out and then just try and get whatever you can. So right here, to be honest, the Zyra is back up, so you can't really engage anymore. But, you can get the Grub. Obviously, she pinged. She is a farming jungler, and she did start pathing towards it, so it's not the end of the world. And you keep farming here, which is fine. Sheen pickup, which is very nice on Lucian. But here again, this is another kind of situation where we could have just killed her, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we're, playing a little bit too passive. And then here we see them both up there, so we can just push in. Again, like I said, where our goal is Essence Reaver. Now, because that 2-item spike is so big, you want as much power as you can right now. And to be honest, the team isn't struggling in this moment. So it's okay for you to just continue farming up just a little bit more. And just get yourself ahead. But yeah, Collector is horrendous. So the problem with Collector is... hold on 2 seconds. So the problem with Collector is that it gives Serrated Dirk, which is great, don't get me wrong. So Serrated Dirk, lethality item, amazing, 430 gold, basically an entire kill with a gold for free when you buy it. Great component, okay, but then the item it builds into is not great. Now, when it comes to Collector, the amount of gold that you end up spending on Collector as a whole, it's kind of like, yeah, it's you basically, the execute that you get on it and the true damage is basically going to be the same amount of damage that you'd get if you had that gold in a better item, you know? So say, for example, if you went Lord Dominic's instead, or Cyrilda to some degree as well. Let's just use Lord Dominic's, for example. If you go Lord Dominic's, the amount of extra damage you would do over that fight due to the fact that you're reducing their armor would be way more valuable than that true damage proc. Now, the only time Collector is ever really valuable for that true damage proc is if, say, you're playing against like a 4000 HP Scion or Cho'Gath, where that true damage proc is going to be in the hundreds, right? Then it's okay, but then also it's like, okay, but this is a lethality item, so it's not really designed into those tanks, and you'd just be going Lord Dominic's anyway. So it's, yeah, overall the item is absolutely terrible. And the core item that you want on Lucian is that Gale Force into Essence Reaver, just because Essence Reaver allows you to just continually fight without ever really struggling when it comes to mana, which is very, very good for you. You know, that's where it's at. That's what you want.
I was a bit sad that we lost this game, though.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. Like, I think we still played pretty well. So here again, we don't want to keep pushing
I didn't play my best, but
I mean, I still think we played pretty well. Like, to be honest. And this is the thing. Like, there's always something to take out of it, you know. And like here, for example, this was great. You know, like she's super squishy, and this is one of the opportunities where we actually went for this. So I think if we start kind of being a little bit more aggressive when we're on our power spikes on Lucian, I think you'll actually do fine. And this was the fight that we kind of griefed a little bit. So in this situation, yeah. So one of the big things that you want to do as Lucian is, so the Crown of the Shattered Queen, they get up to 40 additional AP while the shield is up. So what you actually want to do is, in that situation, you just want to throw your W at him just to tag him and get rid of that shield. Because then he's a lot more deadly. And to be honest, you don't really need your W for much, right? So it doesn't really matter that much. So here, this was fine. So one of the big problems here, though, is that we're not using our range. And this is kind of one of the biggest things. So right here, we kind of jump into them for no real reason. So here, see, we're fine. We're getting damage. Rakan's got him knocked up. Okay, great.
Oh, true, actually, yeah.
And then we just kind of kept walking into him. So here, we just keep our range with that Q, and we E into him as well. So just keep our range with that Q. And then, yeah, we could use that E at a later point. So at this point now, you have to go, okay, I've kind of messed up here. And so now you're like, okay, I'm suppressed for a little bit. As soon as this suppression ends, you want to instantly flash. So you just want to be spamming that flash key as much as possible. Although it's on the wrong button for some reason. I'm not sure if you.
Yeah, no, it's on the right button.
No, it's on F. I think it's on F. Like, well, what's this? Like, but yeah. So just instantly just spam it like crazy, just so that you can get on.
Yeah.
You do have Last whisper
I,
now,
w-
which is
I was pressing it. I just pressed it a bit too late.
yeah. So I mean, don't I mean people usually say don't spam buttons, but it helps, especially in these, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I heard from Last Shadow that you spam, you keep pressing the button, uh, when well, I don't know what type of scenario it was, but I just remember from him that you just spam the button. And
Yeah, like because it's like you're gonna die if you don't get that flash, and if you're spamming it quick enough, then you get that tiny window. Like unless you're like Faker and you can play to that minute window and you have nuts reactions, then fine. But overall, um, not so much. Like you just want to spam it for now. Just like you can deal with cutting out button spam at a later point when you're at a higher elo, but for now, just don't worry, just spam. So So now we'll honestly like at this stage of the game, it's like okay, we've done pretty well. We're 250 CS at 30, which is okay. And you know we're 16-5. So at this point, I'm happy with how this early game went. But so we'll just briefly go over this kind of.
I think it's my team fighting a bit. That's a bit poor.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing is, in solo queue, like team fighting is something that you want to try and, to be honest, avoid as much as possible anyway. Because team fighting isn't really going to win you that much, you know. So this was good. You managed to kill him. Obviously, Zyra did pop off. Again, this was kind of one of those things where we just didn't use. So we jumped in and it's like, oh, okay. And then she just burnt you. So she's got Leandries, so it's very easy for her to do that. But again, this is just
Yeah.
kind of one of them spacing things, right? Because we kind of E directly into him. You never want to E into somebody, especially when they're already CC'd.
All right.
You want to kind of just walk up, alter them, and then use your E to space away as soon as they walk into you. Because Lucian is very short range carry, and your E is the only way that you can actually get away from the enemy, you know?
All right.
So this was obviously just chokes. Again, a little bit on the positioning. So at this point, like right there, as soon as you use that E to get out, just ult. Just open up with your ult. So the way you kind of want to use it is go in, do as many ults as you can, use your Q, use things like that, and then when you can, what you want to do is kind of use your E to get out, and then use your ult to finish them off.
Okay.
So we killed her.
That was a good play there.
Yeah.
On the
Let's show a bit of appreciation for it. Why?
Huh.
So yeah, and this is where the Cyrilda comes in massively. So yeah, this was good. See, using your E to dodge it, and then that ends up with you being able to just kind of run it down. A nice ult, and then yeah, and you didn't even need your Gale Force. So yeah, this is good. And this kind of the thing, Cyrilda, it makes them very slow, so it's very hard to get away from you, and you can do so much. So here, this was again, we just kind of didn't take Victor's range into account enough, I think. I think this was where Victor killed us, right? Okay, so the thing is with Alawi, to be honest, as soon as she ults, you want to just back out. So as soon as she ults, you back out, use your ultimate. So see how we're taking all this damage, but we're not using our ult again? So your ult is your I can do damage from safety button, you know?
Yeah.
So we want to use that a lot more. Because that fight could have gone a little bit better. And then obviously they did get the Elder off that, so it did end up a little bit rough. And, you know, they did end up finishing off this. Sorry, it wasn't that fight, was it? It was here. So this was, you know, Alawi did get a really good flank off. So see, we did actually see her. She actually
I didn't see him. Like I was like completely oblivious.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
okay
the
though.
Baron hit me.
Yeah, the Baron just finished you off. But yeah, so obviously a lot to cover there. I think the main thing to focus on is that stuff to do with the laning phase, and kind of just your spacing in general, especially with that ultimate. So I think it's really important to just focus on them. Again, the cannons are going to be the biggest one, and then just kind of sticking to this build, not going things like collector. I think are going to be another really big one. So I will end the recording there and then pop it on YouTube for you.